What's up, guys? Back again. As I had previously mentioned in my previous video, where I talked about swapping out the slides, this video I'm making is to show how I am attaching my my Holosun 507CX2 to my Zev slide to finish the upgrade of my SICK P320. The reason I'm actually making this video is actually because I'm an idiot. I got my slide and my red dot all in the same day and got super excited and put it all together. And I used the screws that Holosun had sent with the plate that were attached. It had some kind of like thread glue or adhesive on there. And I was like, that should be enough for now, whatever. So I took it to the range that day and I shot the first 50 rounds, and that was a lot closer. Started getting sighted in, had decent groupings. So then I went and got another 50 rounds, another target, and started pushing out farther. And suddenly I couldn't group anything together. And I went through all 50 of those rounds, shooting 3 at a time, and was just like, man, why? My grouping suck. Is my adjustment to this red dot just not doing well? And so I was like, all right, 50 more rounds, one more target. We're going to focus on the fundamentals, make sure we're not letting the idea of the red dot change how I shoot. And I got to 10, even 15 yards, and I'm still like, the groupings are not good. I'm like, what the heck? I could shoot better with iron sights than this, and that doesn't make any sense in comparison, right? Maybe a little bit, but not as bad as it was. And I was like, man, what is going on? I was disheartened. I thought I was the worst shooter. I thought I was going to have to spend hours and hours at the range on a red dot just to get, to where I was. And, I'm thinking all these things, and I go to put the gun away and notice the red dot is loose as shit. And I've been shooting a red dot that's been bouncing around because I'm an idiot, basically. And so I'll show you the screws that came with the plate that I originally used. Or is that little screw right there, and it's kind of hard to see, kind of not. You can see there's like a silvery white band compared to the black of the screw. That's kind of just what's left of whatever little thread adhesive they had on there. That helped tighten it a little bit, but it was not enough. And so they also send some longer screws, so you can see the difference in length. It's a little bit longer. And so what I did is I bought the stuff to essentially Loctite these screws. So it's not actually Loctite, it's the VC3 Threadmate. The Loctite's takes a little bit longer to get, so that's still in the mail, but I need to do this now because until it gets here, I need my red dot to be locked in and be able to be adjusted. And so I used the VC3. So in preparation for this video, I went ahead and put the VC3 on these screws already and spread it around. You need to let it dry for 30 minutes. You'll see what it looks like it's starting to dry in like 3 or 4 minutes. You'll be like, oh wow, that looks ready to go. But per manufacturer, they said to really let it wait for 30 minutes. So that's what I did. And so I've kind of already prepped that. So like I talked about in my previous video, the importance of picking a red dot first and a slide that goes with it. No adapter plate, right? So this video is already shorter than other people's videos because I don't gotta put an adapter plate on there, right? So I just go ahead and stick this bad boy right on the slide. It fits perfectly, sits in nicely. We're good to go there, right? And so now that I've already placed this on those screws, what I will do is I will show you how to put it on with the little screws, since I'm not going to be using those and they don't really matter anymore. So what you'll see is you'll get the screw. Some people, these are really short. Some people use like paper and things to really kind of get it to where you want to, but you're going to take your little screw and then place it and then kind of spread it around. And they say about 30 to 50% of the thread on VC3's website. So you just spread that around till you get it, and then you're gonna let that dry. And so like I said, it starts to dry pretty quickly, which is nice because if you're not careful. I mean, you don't want it dripping all the way down to the bottom or anything like that. So, but that's how you would place that on there. If you have a little bit longer screws, I've seen people use like paper, where essentially they stick the screw through the paper so they could get just the threads that they want at how much they want, and then allow it to dry, and then they rip the paper off, and then bam, there you go. So it's a kind of a quick, easy way to get that done. Next, I'm not gonna lie, being a married person, acetone and Q-tips, I just rate them from my wife's bathroom supplies. You want to use this stuff to kind of make sure you clean out. And I wouldn't get like the real fuzzy Q-tips that are going to leave a lot of residue or anything like that, but simply gonna get some acetone on, not a ton, but just a little bit. Make sure you kind of clean your red dot from any debris or anything like that, so that when you're attaching this, it's nice and ready to go. No dirt or anything's going to get in there, because that's the last thing we want. And if you have like really messed up screws or anything like that, you can do that too. I recommend, before you put your Loctite on, to go ahead and acetone your little screws. So I guess I should. So I would have acetone the screw first to make sure it's really good, clean, ready to go, and then put my VC3 Threadlocker on. All right, so now that that's done and been done, right? So I'm gonna attach my slide, or my red dot, to the slide. Sorry, let me say the right words. And then at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and drop my screw in, and then use my little Holosun tool. Now, if you see like the real professionals do this, they will grab a torque wrench or torque tool, wrench tool for their little screws, and they will torque it to the factory settings. Now, I don't have one of those. Like I said, guns are not my main thing as much as I wish they were, believe me. I'm sure a lot of us do. But I use a lot of just the homemade stuff. And so in that instance, you obviously don't want to be too tight, because, God forbid you actually have to get this taken off. But I tend to go hand tight until it's pretty resistful, and then I'll go about another just a little half turn right there. And that's how I attach that, and I will let that sit, and then we'll place the other one now. And you'll be able to feel the difference going in when you're tightening this. You'll start to experience like the resistance that you would expect to feel as it's getting close to being in midway through, and you're like, oh, okay, there we go. Like, it gets tight right away. And so this is going to be a tighter turning process throughout the whole thing, right? And the thing about VC3 is they say you can remove it, up to 5 times before it's no good anymore. Honestly, I would recommend, I'm a big fan of placing this once and doing it. That might change when the Loctite gets here. I might take it off, clean the screws, and reapply Loctite, because it's just shown to be a little bit better. But in a pinch, this stuff works really well, and they did a lot of tests and found that almost for most situations, the VC3 Thread-TITE stuff works well. So anyway, so those screws are now in there, and then the next process, the next step I think that you should do, that is viable, that I'm not going to do right now, is to mark it. So witness marks, like I said, I'm a big person on checking your stuff and having the least amount of points of failure as possible. But with our points of failure, I'm all about having checks, right? And so while this VC3 stuff is good, and even Loctite is good, that's not to say that the site will never come loose, right? So there's always a chance it can come loose, and if it comes loose, you want to notice that right away. So I'm all about things that check you, that you don't have to think about. So witness marks are a thing that I am a fan of, and so what that'll be is, what you'll do is you'll take this point, and you can take a little Sharpie or a little like marking paint or whatever else, and essentially what you're going to do is you're going to do a straight line across the screws right here, both on the screw and on the actual site itself. And that way, if for whatever reason these ever come loose and they turn without you realizing it, what'll happen is that line won't line up, and you'll be like, oh, you'll see it and go, I'm no longer, it's not Loctited, it's not secured, and I need to re-secure my red dot to my handgun, or I might be off, so I might not be able to rely on the red dot. The other thing I'm waiting on is my heightened sights that I'm going to attach. I can have a backup. I think red dots are awesome on handguns. I do think you probably get some improved accuracy, but I also believe that if you're going to use a red dot, you should always have a backup. Batteries fail, all sorts of things fail, and so iron sights are always true. They're always there. They're attached. So I think you should, even if you're going to run a red dot, that's fine, but I think you should run a red dot. You should also run iron sights. So my iron sights are on the way. I will be mounting those. Maybe I'll do a video on mounting red dot sights on the SIG, or just regular iron sights on the SIG as well. Anyway, you guys feel free to comment, ask any questions, experiences I've had. I won't lie to you. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing, this is not just I'm out doing it. I have friends or colleagues, buddies of mine that I run a lot of stuff by. Shout out Jarvis, my old buddy. I run a lot of stuff by him because he's done a lot of this stuff before as well. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching and tuning in. Thanks.